Hi guys, I want to link two different stories here, but I think both have a deep thread connecting them. The first is from the BBC, and the headline says, "Energy bills, care home owner warns unsustainable rise will force us to close." The article explains with an example of how a care home is struggling to pay its bills. The site is talking about an increase of 500% and has said that it has no choice but to close its doors. The company that runs 4 care homes says that they have to keep the lights and heating on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because some of the residents are old and some have health problems and they need to be kept warm. The government responding to this have said that they will make £1 billion available to local government to spend on adult social care, but this is nowhere near enough. The question becomes what happens to the residents if the care home closes, and I don't even want to imagine the scenario. The other story is that of both visible and invisible disability. Shani Dahanda, an ambassador for Scope, a charity, explains the problems facing people with disabilities who are not in care homes but are in their own homes and how the cost of living crisis will affect them. Here she was speaking to Channel 4 News.
I have a condition and it affects my bones and my joints, and the cold makes my condition a lot worse. So in the winter, I need to not only heat myself, but also my home. I can't go from like one hot room to then a cold room because that change in temperature really affects me. I also spend a lot more time at home because the outside world is just not accessible. I know lots of people who use electric wheelchairs. They have no option but to charge their chairs every night in order to be mobile and have their independence and freedom.
And that's very energy intensive. You know, it's not like charging a mobile phone or something.
Exactly. You know, it's not optional. It's not like charging a games console. Just like people that use life-saving equipment like oxygen ventilators just to stay alive. This is a truly life or death situation, and quite frankly, the £150 support offered by the government, it just feels like a bit of a sick joke.
And she's completely correct. £150 extra for people who have to, as she said here, charge electric wheelchairs or machines, ventilators or oxygen machines or any sort of life maintaining equipment. There's a huge cost connected to that, and £150 once off is not going to cover that, not anywhere near that.
I wonder how heavily this is all weighing on you personally, how worried you are about the months ahead.
I'm extremely worried, and you know, I need to pay £7,000 for a new wheelchair, but I'm not going to now do that because I need to save money in order to pay my bills. So we are already making these big sacrifices and have done for a very long time.
This is why it's so important that there is real support presented. That Liz Truss, who's likely to take over from Boris Johnson, hits the ground running and has real support ready from day one. You know, people have been calling on the government to do something. They've pretty much abandoned hope with Boris Johnson's government and moved on to the next one, hoping that the next government, Liz Truss likely, her administration will come up with something. And I think she will, but my fear is that it will be very late in the day. If we look at the pandemic, what happened there, the government dragged their heels until it was too late and they had to act. And now is not the time to dally. Now is the time to act. Liz Truss has enough time to put together a package to start with on day one. She can present it now, at least to provide people with peace of mind. Because people are struggling at the moment and they're extremely worried about what's going to come down the road. That's the responsibility of government, to fix this, to provide people with the support they need. It's unacceptable that people are waiting around, waiting for some sort of help, not knowing whether it'll come or not, and facing a very dark future, facing bills of thousands of pounds. I don't know what else to say here. You know, at the beginning I said about the care homes, and there's a real concern that elderly people may be put out on the street. Elderly people will be forced back to live with their family again. Family that maybe are not capable of treating or caring for their elderly parents or grandparents or whatever. And they don't have the equipment either, and they are already struggling with the cost of living crisis. Imagine having to deal with the extra costs of that as well. This is why it's fundamentally important that the government step in and provide real support as soon as possible. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.